Okay, I'll start with the softball. You can throw the meatball. How's that?
I love the meatball. I don't want to talk about how much whiskey I just got on my blazer.
Thanks for joining us for your dose of Weekly Whiskey with John and Jay.
Weekly Whiskey is made on Mackie, and if you'd like to find out more about the top-notch studio gear we're using, you can find it out on Mackie.com.
Hell yeah, Mackie is great. They're the reason we sound as good as we do, but let's go ahead and pivot and get onto the whiskey. What are we talking about tonight, John?
This is a fun one. I love these segments where we get to talk about something that, I mean, we hear this all the time, right? We get the emails, we get the questions through Discord. Everybody wants to know, where do we get Russell's Reserve 13? Spoiler, I don't fucking know. If you don't have it, I can't help you get it. But what I can do is make some recommendations. Jay and I have got a couple of thoughts for you tonight on what to do if you cannot find Russell's Reserve 13-year barrel proof. Let's go.
Right. So Russell's Reserve, 13-year age stated, non-chill filtered, barrel proof. The moment we saw the label, we knew it was going to break the internet. I wrote a piece for Whiskey Raiders called Russell's 13 is going to break the internet. And much to nobody's surprise, it broke the internet when it arrived. If you were lucky to get a bottle, let us know in the comments. We'll be a little bit jealous ourselves. But if you couldn't find one, you want to taste it, you're just curious, want to know what the hype is about, we have some alternatives. So I'll go ahead, I don't know. This is an unusual space for us. Usually we pick a single bottle, and I think we're gonna throw a little curveball here. So you want to kick off, John?
You go ahead and throw out the first idea, and then I'm gonna throw out a real wild card. So we're gonna give two recommendations.
Okay.
Neither of which is just like, go buy this bottle. So
Right.
This is gonna be a little bit into foreign territory for us, but I think it'll be pretty fun.
Okay. I'll start with the softball. You can throw the meatball. How's that?
I love the meatball.
All right. Well, if you guys know Russell's, you know what this label looks like. This is Russell's Reserve 10-year. Before you get angry, I'm not recommending this as a direct replacement. I do not think that a 10-year 45% ABV bourbon is going to replace or scratch the itch of that 13. But I think you can blend something up at home. So I've been tinkering here all week. I've been kind of working through in a recipe of 80% modern rare breed, so barrel proof bourbon. We know that there's some stuff as old as 12 years in those rare breed bottles. And a little bit of splash, 20% of this Russell's Reserve 10. I think you're batting in the ballpark. I love the big flavors. I love the big caramel. And for me, it's actually a little bit of an improvement. I didn't love how oaky and dry Russell's 13 was, and this kind of fixes it for me. So 80% rare breed, 20% Russell's 10.
I like that point. I like the oaky side of things a little bit more than you do. A lot more than you do. If you're able to sort of tweak this thing your own, like, I mean, you're talking a bottle of rare breed is in the neighborhood of $38 to $50 depending on your market. A bottle of Russell's is $25 to $30 depending on your market. You could be in and out of that for not too far off the SRP of a Russell's Reserve 13, but widely more available. And
Right.
You can tinker with this as you go. You can make small blends of your own. You could blend it right in your glass if you want to, or make yourself a little infinity bottle, which also kind of ties into what I'm going to talk about, which is something that I picked up from our good buddy David Jennings, Rare Bird 101. And this is his take on WB Saffel. And he's been calling it Hackle. So this is going to be another custom blend that will scratch a lot of the same itch. It's going to get you that higher proof. It's going to get you some non-chill filtered whiskey in there as well. So this is going to be an equal parts blend of a Russell's Reserve single barrel from Camp Nelson F. And I will dive into the super deep and dirty details in just a minute. So it's going to be a Camp Nelson F, a Camp Nelson A, Rare Breed, and Russell's Reserve 10. So if you took Jay's advice and you bought Rare Breed and Russell's 10, you're already halfway there. You just need 2 single barrels of Russell's Reserve. Now, if you want to do this right down to the letter of how David recommends it, you're going to need a 6th floor Camp Nelson F and a 4th floor Camp Nelson A. Fuck, I hope I got those right, because I'm doing those from memory. I'm almost positive those are exactly what he recommended, though. And that is per Eddie's blending instructions on how this came out to be WB Saffel. So if you're going to blend those things equally, go ahead and chuck them into whatever it is, a blender, mix them all up, or put them into your infinity bottle, shake it up, let it sit for a little bit. That product, I've done it myself. Probably should have grabbed it. but I have put one of those together, and I think it's really tasty stuff. I used an older label Russell Reserve. I mentioned this in a previous video, that the older style Russell Reserve from their older tear label was not my favorite, admittedly. Right. I used that in my Hackle blend because I had it here, and I was like, well, hey, I'll just get rid of this. I kind of wish I hadn't, because it did shift the profile in a way that I noticed. If you use a modern Russell Reserve 10, I think it's going to be an absolute banger. And while it may not compete directly with Russell's Reserve 13 for somebody who likes the oak like I do, it's a really tasty blend. And if it's bottles that you've already got on hand, like I had, shit, it's really tough to complain about.
Yeah, it's a good use if you've already got the bottles. And a note for you, if you're going out to try and buy Russell's Reserve 10 fresh, if you can't find it, don't panic. Glass shortage over at Wild Turkey. It'll be back soon and you'll be blending away. But I like that suggestion, John. You went a little hard and heavy on the blending. I think, hats off to David Jennings, who kind of did the dirty work ahead of us. But 2 really great blends. I don't see any reason that people shouldn't give this a shot, especially we're between releases. We know that Russell's Reserve 13 is coming back. We don't know when it's coming. And honestly, it's going to be even harder to get the second time. So if you can't find Russell's Reserve 13 year, I say blend up your own.
Mix it up, have a blast, get weird. Thank you for catching your dose of weekly whiskey with John and Jay.
Man, get weird. I love it. Well, thank you guys. If you like being weird with us, if you like our content and checking out what we're doing, and if you want more, you can join us over at patreon.com/thewhiskeynet.
Also, don't forget to check out our studio sponsor on Instagram at Mackie Gear or Mackie.com.
Mackie is awesome. They have all the gear that's going to make you sound great. Thank you again for joining us. And if you're looking for more info about John, he's over at thebourbonfinder.com. And as always, I am Jay over at whiskeyraiders.com, where your Rotten Tomatoes whiskey. We do have a review of Russell's 13. Check it out. And thank you again for joining us. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.